everyone, and welcome to the Wheel and Chill Show.
So funny, I was like super empowered. I don't think I could sleep.
Still follows the same rules, has the same characters and all that stuff,
Yes.
but it just tweaks it a little bit.
You're reading fantasy, and it's so grounded. It's so completely grounded in reality.
Rule clarification, if we both get it wrong, do we get bonus points?
Soldier Simmons, it is my pleasure to now pin you, raising you from the rank of soldier to dedicated.
That didn't happen in the books, but it was awesome.
I nailed it.
I nailed that.
I nailed it. Let me bring you comfort about Egwene. I know you haven't seen her in a month, but let me tell you this story about how badass she is right now.
That fight scene, my boy went through 5 daggers.
Everybody's flower is different. I think we learned that in the books. This is I think for me, top 5 moments ever on screen.
When I read it, I felt empowered. I felt called to action.
One of the best quotes in the whole series is when Gaul says, "Do you like to dance, Baron Abara?"
The Knights Who Say Chill.
AKA the band of really, really nice good guys.
Let a couple more drip on it.
Review your chain everywhere.
I am.
Do you have a chaser?
Can I have a little bit of mine too?
Oh, no.
Yo, this is good.
Young people do like this now or something instead of this.
Oh, they do. It's like this.
The heart emoji.
Don't jiggle.
It folds. I like the way you wiggle.
You
Oh,
wiggle.
show. We're going to review the entirety of season 1 of the Wheel of Time, the whole thing, finale of Rings of Power. Welcome to the Wheel and Chill Show. Hello, and welcome to the Wheel and Chill Show. We are here for a very, very special live stream. Not only is this probably the last time Wheel and Chill will be on this channel for the foreseeable future, because we are transitioning over to Tavern's channel while I'm on maternity leave, but we have a very special guest that we are going to start out talking with today about a super cool Wheel of Time related project. And if you are an audiobook junkie like me, you should definitely pay attention because it's very exciting. So, we're also going to be talking about the OA and finishing our series about watching the OA. We watched episodes 5 through 8, me for the very first time this past week, I assume, with you guys. If we did, like, it was like 2 days ago for me.
Yes.
But we'll be talking about that and digging in and deciding once and for all whether I think we do indeed need to save the OA. So thank you all for being here and watching. And we're going to go ahead and get started in the same way we always get started, which is to introduce ourselves briefly, and then we'll dive right into some deets about the soundscape of time. So Tavern, why don't you introduce yourself first?
Hi, I'm Tavern Tavern. As always, I do merch for the Wheel of Time and other stuff. You can find that on Redbubble. I also have stuff on TeePublic. Yes, the Wheel and Chill Show and the Knights Who Say Chill will be transferring over to my YouTube channel, which is Tavern Tavern. And I'm also starting a new thing called Tavern Arcade. And on August 10th, we will premiere our first show of the Wheel of Time Drunken Spelling Bee. And it'll be a lot of fun. So come join us on that.
Sick. Winespring?
Hi, I'm Tavern Tavern, and I make the Wheel of Time. Oh, sorry, wrong dimension. Hold on real quick. Let me step into the right space here. I am Winespring. You can find me on X at Winespring Cafe and at winespringcafe.com, and also at What Eats, only and exclusively on X. And there you will be able to capture the delicious flavors of the Wheel of Time. So while we're going to hear in a moment the sound of the Wheel of Time, don't forget that you can also nom the Wheel of Time. And maybe we can combine forces and have a full experience.
You can listen.
Wait, don't forget, hashtag What Eats.
Hashtag What Eats. Hashtag What Eats.
Listen and nom.
Okay, love that for everyone. I am Kritter XD. This is my YouTube channel. I do a lot of fantasy and especially Wheel of Time TikToks. I do YouTube. I do some reaction videos to like House of the Dragon and Rings of Power and Vox Machina and other stuff like that. I've got a Discord that's super fun if you want to talk about things like Lord of the Rings, Wheel of Time, whatever. I currently have a podcast going where a friend of mine and I are reading reading The Lord of the Rings. My friend has never read them, so she's a first-time reader, and we're currently working our way through The Return of the King. So we're almost done with the trilogy. We already did The Hobbit, and that podcast is called But Are There Dragons? So if you want to check that out, we have a YouTube channel, and we're available for free wherever you get your podcasts. So that's us.
Nice.
Let's talk about our guest, Jordan Rannells, who is here and has a super cool project that he's working on. He's already done something similar for The Lord of the Rings, but he is now focusing on The Wheel of Time, which you all know is our bread and butter, our jam. So, Jordan, why don't you introduce yourself and kind of explain what you're up to?
Yeah, definitely. Well, first of all, thanks so much for having me on. Very excited to talk about the project. My name's Jordan. I do sound design, and I'm a composer and do all things audio. And what I've been working on for the last 3, almost 4 years now is these audio soundscape projects. And we'll hear a little bit more what that means in a few minutes. But basically what I'm doing is I'm creating 3D immersive audio accompaniments to audiobooks for fantasy series. So I started with The Lord of the Rings. I've done the first Harry Potter. I've done some Song of Ice and Fire stuff. And now it's time to do The Wheel of Time.
Time for The Wheel of Time. Okay, nice. So do you think now's a good time to show the intro video? So Jordan has a Kickstarter going right now, trying to get the Wheel of Time project off the ground funded, because this is not something, this is a huge project, so
Yeah.
money is kind of necessary to get it off the ground. So the Kickstarter runs until August 11th, and we will remind you that also before we let Jordan go. But yeah, so if you see whatever, and we're going to give you a preview of what it's like, if you see something that piques your interest, definitely check out the Kickstarter. You can just Google. I Googled Soundscape of Time Kickstarter. It came right up. But the link to the Kickstarter is also in the description of this video on YouTube, so you can check it out there. So without further ado, I think I'm going to pull up the intro video, unless you want to say anything, Jordan, before we get started.
No, we'll just get straight into it.
Okay, let's get straight into it. So I'm going to maximize, turn the audio on, never forget.
Yeah.
And then get started. Okay. I'm gonna mute you guys. Alright, bye.
The Wheel of Time audiobooks span over 450 hours. Now imagine if you could have the sound effects, ambience, and music of a film for all 450 of those hours. I'm Jordan Rannells, the creator of the Soundscape of Time, a unique audio journey through the Wheel of Time series. I believe Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time is a story of immense detail, complexity, and beauty, worth experiencing in as immersive a way as possible. That's why I've created the Soundscape of Time, a 3D immersive audio journey through these books. Stick around to the end for a full demonstration, but for now, what is a soundscape? Unlike traditional audiobooks that focus solely on narration, my soundscapes incorporate ambient environments, specific sound effects, and an original score. It starts by creating ambient environments for the many places we visit, like the simple everyday life of Emmons Field. Then you add specific sound effects for each moment. You'll hear the small moments like Padan Fain pulling into the 2 rivers. Finally, we add an original score that I'll be writing for each moment along the journey through each book. Themes for Emmons Field, Rand, Egwene, and so many more. Now, the demonstration will come at the end of this video, so stick around. But if you've read the series, then you should be as excited as I am about some of the amazing moments that we'll get to experience. The Soundscape of Time is designed to be listened to on its own, but also with the official, but not included, audiobooks. So you can simply line up the two for a complete movie in your ears experience. Creating such an immersive experience.
Okay. Let's see. Let me unmute everybody. So that sounds amazing. Padan Fain rolling in with his cart. I felt like I was in Emmons Field there. That felt really good.
Awesome.
So
I like it.
So what inspired you to do the projects like these? Like what what got you going?
Yeah. I've always wanted to do film composing. That was the main draw, and doing sound design and stuff like that for movies also would be amazing. Um, and throughout the years, I started listening to things like some of the Star Wars audiobooks that have sound effects and things like that in there.
Mm-hmm.
But I always wanted it to be more than that. I wanted it to be more specific than that, and more detailed than that. And with this kind of advent of immersive audio with 3D movement in your headphones and things like that, I got really excited at what the um, audio experience could be for audiobooks. And the coolest part about this, I think, is there's two different ways that you can experience it. You can experience it with the audiobook, or you can experience it without the audiobook and just feel like you're there,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you have these options, and it's not abridged in any way. That's the thing. People do dramatized versions of audiobooks and stuff like that, but this is the whole deal, everything included, so you don't miss out like you might on a show or in movies or anything like that. You get the whole story from start to finish, but with film quality music and sound effects and stuff like that. So I think it's pretty exciting.
That is really exciting. So we've got, let's see, let me pull this up. So you have multiple tiers, right? So this is a Kickstarter, as I mentioned. Everything, nothing this amazing comes free, guys. So you let me just kind of run through it. We've got, you can make a pledge without make a pledge without a reward for whatever amount, right? You can become a member of the research team for $10 Canadian. How would you describe that role?
So that's the people that help me decide which birds you would hear in which areas, how many different ambiences do we have, how many different inns in each book we have to go to, all this kind of data collecting so that I can be as hyper detailed as possible with it, right? And
Okay.
I will say that, and we'll get to it here in a second, but Eye of the World is almost finished.
Nice.
So
Very nice.
people that back the Kickstarter will get that almost right away. I'm just finishing up scoring it, actually, so it shouldn't be long. But as an example, that book had, I think, around 56 or so different ambiences. So I designed all of those. All of the inns sound different. All of the forests sound different. It depends on where we are. All of that is part of the process. And that's why, doing Kickstarters is the only way to make this happen, because I need the time to give the story the detail it deserves, for sure.
For sure. Okay. So that's kind of awesome. So the nerds can be on the research team
Yeah,
for 10,
exactly.
10 Canadian. Then the single collection. I can just explain this. Your choice of one digital soundscape, choosing between the Eye collection, presumably Eye of the World, the Hunt collection, Great Hunt, Dragon Reborn, or the Shadow collection, Shadow Rising. So yeah, it says estimated delivery January 2025. Is that specifically for the Eye of the World, or?
No, that's just a general. Like I said, if you choose Eye of the World, or most people will probably choose Eye of the World for that one.
Probably, yeah.
That'll probably be finished by even the end of August. Probably I'll have that one done. It's just if someone chooses one of the other ones, yeah, it's going to be a little bit further down the road. So yeah, you can choose any of the 4 books for a single collection. But yeah, most people will probably choose the Eye of the World. And that's the whole accompaniment, all... how many hours is Eye of the World? It's around 30 or so audiobook hours, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So that includes different mixes. So if you want to have a version that's just the music, you can do that. If you want a version that's just the ambience, you can do that.
Oh, that's cool.
All this kind of options.
Very cool.
So some people will, for the Lord of the Rings, they'll put on some of the Shire chapters and just have just the ambience, just hang out in the Shire and hear all the nature sounds. Or you can listen to the music of Rivendell if you want. There's tons of different ways that you can experience it.
Yeah, I could see that being really helpful because I know sometimes whenever I'm doing my in-person D&D campaign, you're like, you look for, what's the vibe? What kind of music can I play? And so usually I do resort to like movie or show soundtracks. But if I have, if I had this, it'd be like, okay, well, we're in a little small town. Let's put on some Shire music. And
Ooh,
yeah.
I love
that'd be
that.
perfect.
It's perfect for that because, there's chapters that are 50-some minutes long, so it's not like a short clip that you have to loop. It's a lengthy, Shadow Logoth chapter that you could put on and just have that running for a whole long stretch of time, right?
That's perfect. So how do they get delivered? So is it like on just an MP3 file that you can put on iTunes, or like what's the vibe?
Yeah, there's a couple different ways. You get access to a Google Drive, so you can just download them for yourself.
Nice.
But it actually also populates on a private podcast feed, so that you can just have it with you wherever you go, just like any other podcast. And you can say, I feel like listening to this, I feel like listening to this. And you can just kind of scroll through whatever you're feeling like.
That's pretty neat. Okay, next double collection. That's presumably 2. You picked 2 books. Okay, and that one is Canadian 70, which is about $50 US. The triple, Canadian 100, which is about 73, and the quad, Canadian 130, about 95. So that's, and then a guest musician.
Yeah. You can be a guest musician on the project. So for the Lord of the Rings, which was also a Kickstarter and is finished and everything now, I had a couple people sign up for guest musicians, so they got to play parts that I wrote for the score. I have a harp player that played in the House of Tom Bombadil. I actually had a Hardinger fiddleist play some of the Rohan stuff, which was really cool. And I had a solo violinist play, a mandolin player play, all this kind of fun stuff. So those are really, really fun to get people on.
We need Taka Ranriad to do the 4-gate.
It looks like you've got one backer so far, so I'm curious what they want to do for you.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I never really know what instrument or anything that ends up being, so it's fun to find a place for everything. Maybe there'll be a flute player.
That would be perfect for
That would be-
Iowa. Well,
yeah,
although Iowa
perfect.
World's almost over, right? So
Yeah.
okay, so executive producer, Canadian 500, about 362. How would you describe that?
The executive producers were very, very important for the Lord of the Rings Kickstarter. It was people that I would send, drafts to of music, of ambience, of all these kind of things, and get their opinions as fans. What do you think of this? Does it work? Does this music work for this character? All these kind of things. You're kind of on the inside for all of that, helping me decide, does this sound for the power work? Should we change it? Should we adjust it? How should it play? All that kind of stuff.
So they're like alpha listeners.
Yeah,
essentially.
exactly.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. And then the soundscape completely, we've got 1,000 Canadian, about 724. This is what you get, all of them.
Yeah.
All of them as they come out.
The Kickstarter is just for the first 4, but I'm going to do all of them eventually anyways, because I want to. I want to be able to listen to it that way.
Yeah.
And I'll do follow-up Kickstarters and stuff as well if I need to. This one has stretch goals, so we'll see how far we get. But the people that choose that bottom tier will be signed up for everything from the beginning.
Very cool. So I feel like I've seen something on Twitter or something about this, but how are you addressing the there's now going to be 2 official versions of the Wheel of Time audiobooks conundrum?
Yeah. So just like I did with the Lord of the Rings and the first Harry Potter that I did, I retimed the experience to both. So that's all included. So if you back one book, then you're going to get Eye of the World timed to the original audiobook, Michael and Kate, to begin with. And then once I have a bit of time, I just retime it to Rosamund's version, so that you can have 2 completely different feels for each book.
Very cool. Okay, Wine Spring Tavern, you've been quiet. Do you have any questions for him before we play the little preview that we have?
No, I mean, this is very similar. Like, I went to school for game design, and we did a lot of matching music to, ambiance and effects with certain parts of the games and stuff. So it's very similar to that, and it's really cool. Very excited about it.
Nice. Winespring, any thoughts?
I have a question, and maybe you've answered this, and maybe you guys are significantly more aware of how this is going to work. So this is a soundscape that plays at the same time that you're listening to an audiobook.
Yep.
How do you make that happen?
How do you do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome. So, and I will just, because we're on the topic of the audiobooks, mention that Michael and Kate had to listen to it, actually. And they tweeted about how they were excited about it. So that was really awesome to see.
They mentioned it at WatCon too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
they're really pumped
That's a
about it.
proud moment right there, I'm sure.
really
Yeah.
So how it works is, like I said, you can listen to the soundscape on its own if you want to just feel like you're in the story. But if you want to put the two together, it's a really, really simple process of doing that. Because my soundscapes are lined up exactly with every moment of the audiobook, all you have to do is, on any free software, you can import the audiobook and import mine, not change anything else, and then just hit export. And then you have new files that have the whole experience put together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Or what I figured I would do is just like play them separately.
Yeah, you can also just do that.
Play them out loud, like on a phone and the computer or whatever.
Is there a like on your side? Is there something that says like start audio now or start audio at this point?
Nope. The files literally just both start at the exact same time.
Right, but if like Kritter said, if she's listening to it with two different files, she'd have to start one and then start the other.
Yeah. Usually I have two different versions. I have the complete version that doesn't have that opening couple of seconds where they say the chapter, right? So with those, you just have to listen to them say chapter whatever, and then the name of the chapter, and then you hit play on the soundscape.
Okay,
Right?
got it.
So that's one version. If you're putting the sync versions together, you just line the both of them up at the same time. So there will be a couple seconds worth at the beginning that are empty space in my soundscape files. Then that's where the chapter name will be said.
And I assume that you frown upon playing at 1.2 speed like I do on Audible.
Yeah, that would be hilarious.
If you want really, really fast horses moving and everything like that.
It sounds a little chaotic.
Well, it sounds probably a little. That's fine. That's fine. To be fully immersed, I can go at 1 time speed. It'll be a whole different experience.
I've had a lot of people that have even said that they're not audiobook people because it takes too long, kind of thing. But with this kind of experience, it's totally different. It's
right.
You're watching a 30-hour movie, basically.
It's more cinematic, without a doubt.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, we have a little preview that we can show you. Several of these are on YouTube, actually, if you want to follow Jordan. But let me pull it up. So this one is the Eye Collection, right? That's the one you wanted me to play. I'm not making that up. Okay, great. So it's a 2 minutes long, and it's just going to give you a taste, just a little taste. And it will have, I think I heard Michael Kramer whenever I played this earlier.
Yep, this does have Michael included. So this is the whole experience.
Shout out to Michael. This is what it would sound like if you backed the Kickstarter. So let's rage. Boop.
From the clear sky, lightning came. Each bolt crisp and sharp, searing his eyes, each bolt striking a winged black shape. Hunting cries became shrieks of death, and charred forms fell to leave the sky clean again. The heat, the terrible heat of the light. He fell to his knees. He thought he could hear his tears sizzling on his cheeks. No! He clutched at tufts of wiry grass for some hold on reality. The grass burst in flame. Please, no! The wind rose with his voice, howled with his voice, roared with his voice down the pass, whipping the flames to a wall of fire that sped away from him and toward the Trolloc host faster than a horse could run. Fire burned into the Trollocs, and the mountains trembled with their screams. Screams almost as loud as the wind and his voice. It has to end! He beat at the ground with his fist, and the earth tolled like a gong. He bruised his hands on stony soil, and the earth trembled. Ripples ran through the ground ahead of him in ever-rising waves. Waves of dirt and rock towering over Trollocs and Fades, breaking over them as the mountains shattered under their hooved feet. A boiling mass of flesh and rubble churned across the Trolloc army. What was left standing was still a mighty host, but now no more than twice the human army in numbers, and milling in fright and confusion. The wind died. The screams died. The earth was still. Dust and smoke swirled back down the pass to surround him. The light blinds you, Baalzamon. This has to end.
Oh, baby. Okay, that was pretty great. That was pretty great.
Do sleeping wolves dream?
Copyright strike. Thank you. Great. Wow, that was amazing. We've got some comments in the chat. Mr. Moonbound. Wow, wow, wow. Varen's brush. Oh, this is so good. Love it. Yeah. Wow.
Yes.
Those are the
So
words.
imagine that, but for all your favorite moments across many, 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 many hours of the Wheel of Time.
Okay. Well, on that note, I will just say, reminder, if that sounded amazing to you, the Kickstarter is live and it is going until August 11th. So make sure to hop in there and, you know, depending on what you can do right now, you can get just one for the moment. I guess I didn't really ask, will people be able to come back later and get stuff, like if it's fully funded?
Yeah, so Kickstarter also just maybe recently came out with this feature where you can late fund things. If it's complete, you can actually still back a tier later.
Okay.
So that's a thing. But also on my website, you'll be able to get them.
Okay.
Just so, I mean, it's a little obvious, but just so everyone knows, like what this Kickstarter funds is my time to be able to, you know, take the time to do all the detail that you heard in that. Right. Because this is all I do. So if I have more money to pay for my time, then I can spend more time to make it as good as it should be for us to enjoy it. And I will say as well, you can't see it unless you've chosen a tier, but you can actually choose add-ons. So if you want the entire Lord of the Rings as an add-on, that's in there too.
Cool.
And some of the other things that I've done, so you can, and that's already ready to go. So you could dive into that right away, kind of thing.
Perfect. So yeah, if you feel like you can't back everything now, but you want to get like one of them, for example, you know, any little bit helps so that the Kickstarter can get fully funded. I think that's the main goal right now. And, you know, already almost at 6,000, which is amazing, with a goal of 14,472. So get in there and show your support if this is something that you're interested in, because I know I want it to succeed. I know Jordan wants it to succeed. And so, yeah, basically your support would be super appreciated. Jordan,
Thank you so much.
I think we've hit the kind of the end of the road for us talking to you, but as always, whenever we kind of close out the Wheel and Chill show, and we're not closing out the show, we're going to talk about the OA after this, but since Jordan will be signing off, I wanted to ask him to, you know, say anything he wants to say before he bails. So Jordan, why don't you go ahead?
What I'll say, and I say this a little bit in the Kickstarter video, but if you know this moment, it says Dragon Mount, and at the bottom it says that was the answer. So if you know that moment, those are the moments that I want to be able to get to. So
nice.
if you back the Kickstarter, that's what you're helping me get to. So that's what I have.
That's amazing. All right. Well, if that's not motivation, I don't know what is. Thank you so much, Jordan, for coming on. I really wish you all the best. Hope this gets backed. I haven't backed it yet, obviously, as you can. Well, I'm not logged in, but I will be, because this sounds amazing.
Thank you so much, and thanks so much for having me on.
Thank you.
Excited for people to hear.
All righty. We'll talk to you soon.
Super exciting.
Thank you.
See you later.
Bye.
Okay,
was
well,
awesome.
Jordan is leaving. Well, he left. Nice. Very efficient. Okay.
That was so like not invasive. Like it really was perfect.
Yeah,
No,
it
it
went. It
sounded really
synced
good.
perfectly.
Like-
That was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
invasive.
I like
That's a
It was
fun
just
way
like,
to-
you know, I
No,
didn't know
because it can
because
be
I
over
can
the
get
top.
distracted. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was not at all. Like, it was beautiful.
That's why I closed my eyes, because I wanted to listen to Michael and hear the effects, and it just blended. It just blended perfectly. So kudos.
Yeah, that
That was
was
amazing.
amazing. I know a lot of
Yeah.
people, like some people, there are different versions of like Lord of the Rings, or maybe Stormlight. I'm not sure, but there are some like more acted out versions of audiobooks that kind of like turn some people off. I feel like this is the perfect balance where it's like it's just there in the background. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jordan's voice was a soundscape. It was it's a very
Yeah.
It
soothing
was
voice.
very
I
much
agree.
Yeah.
like
It
this.
reminds me of Lauren. Even Lauren's voice is another one. Yeah,
That's
so it was
true.
very
Unraveling the
Lauren-like.
pattern.
Yeah.
That's a good point. They both have very soothing voices. Okay, well, all the best to Jordan. That sounds amazing. And it's good to know that regardless of who I'm listening to, Michael and Kate or Rosamund, because they're both act so good. They're both so good. I'll be able to, which is super cool.
Quick question: since you've listened to both of them, I'm not an audiobook person. We know this. I listen to it on bits and pieces on rare occasions. What's the pacing between? Like, is there a difference in pacing between Rosamund and Michael
Question.
and Kate's?
Let me see, because I can pull up both audiobooks because I own them both and let you know, like the length difference.
Right.
So let's go to Eye of the World.
Because I mean, I'm trying to figure out how different would it be to listen to this while you're listening to either of those versions.
Okay, so Michael and Kate's version is 29 hours and 57 minutes, so right under 30 hours.
Yeah.
And Rosamund's is...
Why do you have a... Oh, never mind.
What?
I may have dropped something.
She's pulling out props. She pulled
finally
out
got it.
She pulled out a Hobbit ore or an elf ore from Lord of the Rings. I don't know what the hell that was. Sorry, continue.
Okay, Rosamund's is it's actually 3 hours longer, so 32 hours and 55 minutes. So,
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. So
interesting.
Yeah, not that it matters because I always speed them up. But if there is a soundscape along with them, I will not be speeding them up next time.
Speeding them up.
Books Immersed, which is Jordan says they're pretty close in time, 2 to 3 minutes difference per chapter. So that makes sense because there's so many chapters, right?
Yeah.
But they add up in the end. And also, I think for the Rosamund audiobooks, for example, they have like little interviews with her afterwards. So like that adds to it a little bit, right? They have a lot of those
That's interesting.
for Stormlight, or like for Cosmere books too. They'll have like little interviews with Brandon for some of them. So that would, if you ever did those, obviously that would, or if there were multiple versions of those.
I'm going to get attacked for this, but I'm sure they do that just because he likes to hear himself talk. But
wow. Okay.
Just saying.
We are going to move on. Great. Okay. So
about that attack.
Yeah, jeez. All right, so we are here now that we've talked about the Soundscape of Time and listened to it and been amazed. We're going to talk about the OA final chapters, final episodes, season 2, episode 5 through 8. So, since I am the first timer, in the last streams that we've done about this, I've let Winespring and Tavern kind of lead the charge, and I'm going to do the same this time. So, go ahead, take it away, guys.
So, scale of 1 to 10,
Yeah.
how much did you hate it?
Hate it?
I'm just kidding.
Oh.
What did you think? How much did
You
you
know
like
you loved it, so yeah.
Just an overarching vibe. Like, yeah.
Okay, vibes were good. The vibes were good. I was way more invested this time in the kid storyline.
I knew it.
Yeah, like they did they really were amped it up. It got more exciting this time than it was in the first 4 episodes of season 2, which was really satisfying. Obviously the stakes were incredibly high and some crazy stuff happened. And then let's see what else. I guess like I felt like it got tied together quite well. You don't think so?
No, I do.
And so that's why I'm
wildly well. Yeah.
I'm a little confused about the like save the OA movement, because I'm like, I love when shows really tie together really well and like don't overstay their welcome. And so why do you think, I guess, that people are like clamoring? Is it just because it was so much fun and they're hoping that they could come up with something else?
Okay, from my perspective, the the story. I just want the story to continue because I mean, there's so many possibilities. They can go anywhere, and without without jumping straight to the end, where it left off was amazing.
Yeah,
like nobody saw that coming.
Yeah,
I mean, just stellar writing. So, yeah, the possibilities and just the different people that they could bring into this. And it goes to a point where the French lady that Hap was carousing, the traveler, she stated you have to find your tribe, right? And as we go through, there were two tribes. There were two tribes. There were the kids' tribe and then OA's original tribe, and they were differentiated. If you get to the pool part, right, where we look at the flowers, her tribe is white, the kids' tribe was red.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah. Oh. All the flowers coming from the kids were red, and Scott's was white.
Interesting.
And actually, Rachel's was white as well.
Huh.
Yeah. Remember, I brought that up last
time. So you're just saying before we just jump into details, she asked she asked a question. You're saying you're saying you want it to continue because it's a good story.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I want to see more. I want to see what new tribes could pop in.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. New tribes. I didn't even consider that as a possibility.
Still there.
What do you think, Wednesbury?
Reasoning.
I kind of agree with both of you. So, Kritter, I 100% get not jumping the shark.
Yeah.
They left it hanging at a beautiful place where we can kind of decide what happens and kind of what, the next steps would be, which is like one of my final questions for when we're done, what you think they'll be. So just have that up here.
Okay.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're going to write the next season. So,
okay.
But as far for myself, I know that because of an interview with the main actress, what is her name again?
Britt Marling.
Oh, interesting, right?
Future ex-wife.
Because of the last episode, her name was Britt.
There
is exactly, and she was an actress. And there's an actual interview with her that says that when they pitched it, it was for 5 seasons. So they have 5 seasons of content that we assume they didn't try to squeeze into 2,
Right.
So basically save the OA is people wanting
more.
the
next 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, knowing that they did that. Like in the interview, she says that normally you go in when you pitch a show and you kind of just give I think the first episode or something to draw them in. And they didn't know that because they'd never pitched a show before, and they did all 5 seasons and they acted it out and they but they got 2 seasons of it, made. So
not to mention
it's hysterical.
It was a very inclusive show on top of it. There was a lot of inclusivity and a lot of neutrality and equality throughout the entire show, which was just amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I can see why people would really attach themselves to it. And I get I guess I'm not going to do it now, but I can understand where I don't mind the I'm going to fill this in a little bit at the end, but I could see how she just jumped universes that opens a whole new set of possibilities. So I mean, I would watch a season 3 if there was one for sure. But I do like how this one ended.
Yeah, it ended really cool.
Yeah.
So if there was one thing you wanted to see continue into another season, what would it be? Which particular storyline or detail from these 2 seasons would you want to see expounded upon?
I mean, I feel basic saying this, but I feel like the OA hopping into this world where she's an actress and the Hap is there and the kid is also there, that one is really intriguing where he chases down the ambulance or whatever. So yeah, I think new universe, right? I think hopping between the universes.
That is just the actual universe, see what it is.
Yeah, and just what happens next, because Hap is always such a POS in everything he does, and what was he in this? You didn't
hear him? What he said?
Remind me.
Well, one, Britt she jumped into Britt Marling's body.
Mm-hmm.
Hap said, "My name is Jason Isaacs."
Oh, I totally.
So they jumped into basically Earth
Themselves.
616. Yeah, they jumped into Earth 616. Is pretty much what happened.
If I heard that, it literally escaped me completely. Wow. Okay, so they jumped into their own selves.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is a pretty delicious ending.
That is a pretty delicious ending. It's pretty mind blowing, honestly.
Like Tavern, like what would yours be? I definitely have a storyline I want to see continue. That's what I'm asking. Or like more details.
I really enjoy the kids' storyline, but what intrigued me for future was when we got to see Medieval Homer. Medieval Homer at the very beginning of these last 4
dropped
episodes.
an image from that.
Yeah, I was like, this is cool as shit. And you had the old lady with the skins, and like, what the hell is happening here?
So that dream, we know it's a dream, right? Because he woke up. So we think that dream is a different.
Well, they said it. They said when you dream, it's bits and pieces of other realities or other lives.
Other yous,
other yous. So yeah, that was cool. Oh man, I forgot to get one shot. Dang it!
I'm looking for Medieval Homer as we speak.
It's actually called Medieval.
Oh, it is? Okay, perfect. That'll be helpful.
I have like the image of the backs is the one I put in there.
Yeah, no, I had the image of him like with a beard and shit. There was an image that I missed. It's when she goes back to the club. When she first walks into the club again, there was a guy dancing on a stool as soon as you go in with this mask that had these white things. They were actually feathers with eyes, which, if I'm not mistaken, is a biblical accurate angel.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And I forgot to get that shot. Damn it.
Yeah.
Anyways,
that would have been delightful to see. I'll say. Yep. Yes. Okay. I want to see more of the storyline of the mechanical movements.
Johnny 5. Yeah.
I want more of that personally. I want to see that. Yeah. Yes. Like who designed that? Like how did they? Yeah. Ooh.
When I saw that, she like scoffed at the movements, and then it turns out she's still using them. She just has machines to do them. I was like, okay, you shouldn't have been
futuristic. Like...
Yeah, but like she was being so dismissive of the movements. Like, oh, that's how you do it, and then she's literally doing it that way. She just has machines.
The movements are actually important.
Yeah, you're doing math with a pencil. Let me show you my calculator.
Yeah, basic. I guess.
And who would not want the calculator?
Yeah, and she was smart too. She was on to him in that scene so fast.
Yes,
super smart.
Yeah.
More input.
That's pretty funny.
Johnny 5. It was cool. I like the little mini ones. The thing with that was he got those things built so fast because the timeline of the show, I know it takes days and maybe I would say days for the kids to travel all the way to California since they were already going cross country. But he got those machines, the bigger cubes, built so damn quick.
Yeah. Well, we know from the conversation that Nina ended up having with him upstairs that he was using all her money.
Yeah.
To do things. So it's not like he was trying to find funds and then manufacturing. He had access to funds.
Yeah.
A lot done if you have that.
But the little ones were so much cuter than the big ones.
They were way cuter. You could travel with them.
I know.
Travel. Yeah.
Speaking of that conversation, like her uniting with herself, like that was very, very satisfying. I feel like she like was so confident after that. That I just loved it. Like she was not.
She went into the Avatar state. Yes.
She did. She went into the Avatar, and then she showed up to the hospital, and she was like not afraid. She had it all planned out. Like that was awesome. I kind of loved that.
Did you notice what she was wearing before and after that happened?
Yeah, she's wearing black and gold with the mermaid skirt when she went into
the water,
then when she came out, she was in all white.
Yeah, so before, through most of it, she was in that red dress.
Most of it.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then when she merged, she came out white. So yeah, that was like a I don't know, a Pokemon.
There's that red and white, the way you've talked about it
a few times. There's a lot of red and white images in this.
Well, I've got a picture pulled up of her in the white outfit in front of a window, like, and of course
with the wings.
With the wing. Oh yeah, and I was gonna say the light, but it also looks like angel wings. Like, the symbolism in the show is just
that was by the pool. Yeah.
Yeah.
There also, it was funny that she lived in like one of the only reddish buildings and like surrounded by white buildings, which was interesting.
You guys are picking up on so much more.
No, I'm all about that stuff.
I love the color uses too.
That's fair. It's fair. It's like the yellow.
Yeah, that's
boots.
a great shot. That shot was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really was.
The moment right before that is one of my favorite moments. I like gasped. I was like, oh.
What?
Oh, with the pool?
She like pulls Steve out.
Oh god.
And she's talking. She looks down at him and then she just puts like her hand on his chest. And it's just so much like love and compassion and
really
connection
tender.
at that moment. Yeah, that's so sweet.
And it when I was talking about the tribe stuff with the white and the red, and then I remembered that she's the OA, so she literally touches all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So just like when she was talking to the tree, or the tree was talking to her, and you see of the trees around her like bursting out in light. And it looked like the flowers, because Hap even said it. He was building a map of the connections and the roads, and the pathways, and that's exactly what we saw with the trees. So it's all linked. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Everything is connected.
No, I'm not saying it. I said linked.
Everything is connected. I mean, they say it in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Everything
right?
does seem pretty connected at this point.
Okay, well, let's jump back to episode 5, because I know we're kind of like touching on some
Yeah,
pretty
we're all
big
over the
Just
damn
hopping
place.
around, yeah.
stuff here. Yeah. So, okay, we talked about Homer, his dream there.
Episode 5 had so many things.
It did.
It unlocked. They went into the house, right? It started off with
because they had just gone in at the end of 4.
Yeah,
They
and
went
that's
into
where
the-
is
Go
that the
ahead.
episode where we see the old Fola or
Zendaya.
Yeah, I
Yep.
called her Zendolda. Zendolda.
Okay.
And then later on in the hospital, I called her Zenyunga.
Nice.
Seeing her like that was pretty intense. Like
It was crazy.
mhm.
So the big puzzle with the floor,
Yes.
it was a tree ring. It was tree ring.
Yes, I dropped an image of that. I
Yeah.
have we're sending y'all a place with images here, but
No, but they're
It's fine. It's fine. I'm kidding it.
we're glad our first time viewers busy
There
with
she is.
images.
There she is.
Where's the
Tom Holland's
they-
in for a treat.
Man, her makeup is wild.
Really
here.
good, because it looked
Yeah.
just like it looks so good.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
okay,
we
so,
had
did either one of you pick up? I mean, I know you've seen it. White, I should really be asking Kritter. When we first saw the shape sitting on the floor when he was in the House of Mirrors there, and then he stops and he looks at it, and you get a good look, and all you see is the hood and the dreads. Did it even connect with you that it might be her?
No.
Mm-mm.
No, I had no. I figured it was something
Nefarious.
entirely unknown. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's what I would come to expect from the show. Like, what is it this time?
Yeah.
Especially because like the last time we saw her, right? She was just like all of this was more or less hypothetical. She wasn't there yet, right?
Yeah, she hadn't gotten to that point, right?
Yeah. So, anyways, I got the tree ring thing set up, but yeah, it's okay. Well, I lost them, so give me a moment, then I will bring them back. There they are. Putting him in 3.
Cool. I enjoyed that. Now, the weird thing is, there's like this knot in the toward the bottom right quadrant there that actually looks like a little person.
Oh, making their way through.
Kind of random, but yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, and considering that she's connected to nature, because the tree even tells her what was her name in this world?
The OA, Nina.
Nina. They said Nina is a medium and she's connected to nature, which is why you can hear us. So at that spot there, I thought was kind of interesting that there would be like a little blurb there.
Yeah, I mean, it does kind of look like a little human.
Yeah,
it does.
And also, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and there's the episode where she literally gets like pulled into the tree.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Which was so beautiful to watch.
It was cool.
It was so
beautiful
cool.
to watch.
I named that one Treebeard. So if you find that,
Creepy.
yeah.
Okay.
It was cool that they touched on quite a few different elements. The wind talking to her, her, all of her different lives are connected through water. Because she drowned as a kid in the first one, and the second, and then she, as Prairie, she dove off the bridge into the water. And this one, she had to dunk herself. And there are bridges in every single instance. There's the big bridge in this one. There's the bridge that she dove off of in, when she was Prairie. And then as a child, she was, in that accident that went off the bridge. So yeah, there's a lot of similarities in everything, in all of these seasons, which is cool.
For sure.
What I like about what you just brought up, what was it? Water and wind.
Yeah.
So that scene after Jesse dies, and then Steve's like, he's doing the movements and he goes inside the house and he washes his face and drinks some water. And then the opening of the next episode, she comes out of the tree. And what does she do immediately? She gets some water and she washes her face and she's listening to the wind. And it's just like, that was like almost the beginning kind of their storylines in each dimension starting to connect. Because then around the same time, we see Kareem, I believe, wake up.
Yep.
And then he starts dealing with, what he's doing with Mo. And when to jump back a little further from where our conversation went, when he was in the mirrored room that's red.
Yep.
When they later in, I think it's episodes 7 and 8, they show him back there again.
Yes.
And so that within the timeline is happening at the same time that the OA is there at Treasure Island, and so are the kids. And if you notice the shape of the mirrored room, it's the same as the aquarium.
Yep. And if you
notice, it's all happening at the same moment.
and the room that the stained glass window is, the round stained glass window is in the shape of an A or a triangle. So you literally have the O and the A symbolized.
So much.
Also, when Homer opens the door for Nina, when she shows back up at in the final episode, and opens the door for her, BB-8 opens the door to the defunct Treasure Island. Yeah. So it's like everything's happening at the same time. It's so cool. Yeah, the timing is.
Because he's entering the house, I think, at the same time, or how those three storylines come together.
Well, he at that point, I think he's figuring himself, or he's going through the house again through the puzzles. And I think at that point is when he gets to the T.S. Eliot poem on the back of the door.
Yes.
Yeah.
So much happened in these episodes.
So much happened.
Like, wow, a lot happened.
Yeah, they really jammed a bunch of stuff into it. Like, no joke.
Yeah. Yeah, they did. They really
I'm trying to think of... Okay, so one thing I noticed throughout all the episodes is there was always a guide that showed up, and it was always an older person. So there was the older lady that stopped to pick them up when they were stranded on the road, the kids. The cousin was an older person. The uncle that was dying was sort of a guide for Jesse, because Jesse basically just expelled everything basically just told him everything, trying to help him when it really was helping himself.
Was it helping him?
Well, I mean, he wanted to go. He'd been wanting to go, and he basically talked himself into a peaceful resolution, because he'd always had a troubled childhood. And then he explained to him how lovely it was, the memories that he had, and this is what heaven is like. So he basically convinced himself that it was.
So you think it was an intentional overdose?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Even with the moment where we saw him panicking in BB-8's dream?
Yeah. Intentional, for sure, intentional overdose.
You disagree, Winespring?
I want to.
That's fine.
I don't know how much there's value in that, if I'm honest, but I want to think it was not intentional, because he was just taking drugs, dealing with his anxiety and his fears and what was going on. And there are accidental overdoses with
There
things
are.
like that. And to see him panic and show fear and reach out to BBA, which was just, who knows within this dimension what that means. Whether that was actually him reaching out to her because she's a medium, or not.
What happened shortly after that, right? After he passed, Steve regained his momentum. He went back out by himself, again, chasing the ambulance. So that was the second time he chased the ambulance. One was after the OA. The second time was the ambulances that were heading for Jesse. And then we see him again at the very end, chasing the ambulance with Britt and Jason Isaacs and actually catching it, which was amazing. And then we had French reach out to that FBI guy who was another guide, another helper. I was sent here to help. Well, yeah, I was sent here to help her.
Quite significant, actually.
Yeah. Which is, I guarantee you, that's how they got to California. Yeah. So
that's how things worked out.
So it just shows that throughout, in every life, there are helpers and guides that help the OA get to where she needs to go.
So Jesse, your theory is Jesse deciding to suicide is his being a guide for Steve?
No, I think that the uncle that was dying and Jesse basically relieving himself of all these memories and thoughts and trying to assist the uncle that was dying and saying, this is all great, the warmth of the blanket, the wind, this, that, and the other. That's what heaven's like. Basically trying to ease his pain, actually eased him as well. Because we never see him talk about that stuff. His life was always crap. Right. And then what do we see in the other world? Jesse's dead. Jesse's in the pool along with French and along with Steve. So yeah, I think that for whatever reason, older people are guides or assistants or helpers. Even the French lady, the traveler, there's a shot of her. I don't know what I named this one, but there's a shot of her with lights behind her. Like you always see the OA with some kind of light, and her light was shining up and shining down with a black bar in the middle. Like, because she even says, I'm kind of neutral. At one point, she mentioned something to that effect.
She's like an agent of balance.
Yeah, an agent of balance. And that picture shows it perfectly because there's light up, light down, and just a bar across the middle that just separates them both. And I was like, that's pretty freaking amazing.
Yeah. So just to keep the conversation where it started with Jesse was my understanding of, and tell me what you think, Kritter, too, as a first-time viewer, if this is kind of what you were hearing when he was talking about the blanket, the warmth, being lifted and held. I was thinking about like when you're a child and you fall asleep and your parents lift you and they carry you.
That's what he was talking about.
Okay, so is that kind of what you were hearing, Kritter? Or?
Yeah. I guess I didn't really. I'm on team not intentional suicide, just because he's a drug addict.
Don't play with drugs.
Sorry, yeah, because he's a drug addict, and I do think I don't know that he would have left them hanging like that, right? Because the plan was for them to do the movements the next day, and get BBA to the other side, right? And so that felt like I just don't know that he would have done that. Like maybe after, but I don't know that he would have done it before intentionally.
Yeah, because we saw how much work he was doing in the background to help lead them to Treasure Island.
Yeah, but he
led them where they needed to go.
They dismissed it in the diner. They basically dismissed that. And it wasn't until later that Steve said, I failed him. He was right. So he died in between those two scenes. Right, when they dismissed him, and then they realized, holy shit, he was on the right track. And so yet again, they freaking he was pushed aside again. The memories that you're talking about, I think, are memories of his childhood, and the only thing that he has left of that, because he even said, no, where's your phone? And he was like, we all know nobody's looking for me.
Well, I think both of his parents are dead, I think. So
something like that,
childhood when both parents were alive.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And then there's another notable moment when right before he goes, down to the beach, he and BBA are chatting And she is talking about, you know, like waking up early. She wants the last moments of her time in this dimension to be beautiful.
Yeah.
And, you know, his expression was very like inquisitive, I think, at that moment.
Yeah.
And I put a screenshot in there with the quote, but I didn't write it down. His last words. Does anybody remember the last thing he said? Like,
let me see.
No. Oh, did you have the captions on?
I turned it on intentionally to get.
I mean, as I'm thinking about it, that was yet another time where he was about to lose the mother figure that he had, which was BB-8.
You think that?
So maybe he did the drugs. I mean, it could have been unintentional. I'm not saying I'm 100% behind it, but I think that was another thing he didn't want to have to deal with.
Yeah.
Huh. I mean, it could really go either way. Sorry, I'm looking for this image and not seeing it.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I don't know that I agree with intentional.
I mean, he knew about drugs, right?
Well, he was kind of new to drugs because he was having them explained to him when he bought them. Pot is so different. Like,
yeah, he was kind of a pothead, but yeah, you're right. He got extra stuff.
Oh, okay. I think I might have found it. He says it's kind of the other way around, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's kind of the other way around. And that felt almost like a response to BB-8 saying that the last moments in this dimension for her, she wants to be beautiful. And then you get this, it's kind of the other way around statement.
Yeah.
Which just seems a little disturbing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole scene where...
But you can be disturbed and sad and it not even be intentional. Like he could have literally just been trying to get high.
Yeah.
So he could sleep. And his heart's broken, so he put it on his heart, his heart space. Like
there was a lot of heart touching or chest touching.
And oh my gosh, so much.
Yeah.
Which is big.
Yeah. I mean, and it was a very really sad moment when Steve pulled him out of the tent.
Oh my gosh, yes. And then they start doing the movements, and you think about the aunt or the cousin seeing that, and they look like they're in a cult.
Yeah.
They look like weirdos.
I'm telling you, the movements are like...
Yes, could you imagine seeing that being her? Like, yep, they're here. Yeah.
Yeah, I found them. Well, and the thing about, like, it was also devastating, like, BB-8, like, waking up and her, like, absolute panic and sprint down to the beach. Like, it was really heartbreaking.
And the fact that we later find out that it was Steve who woke her up. It was Steve she saw in her dream.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she did see Jesse, saying, help me.
No, I know that. But what I'm saying, when the shadow in the door...
Oh, that part, yes, was Steve. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I need your help. Yeah. That was freaking amazing.
Shout out to Max Silva in the chat. Couldn't catch more of this, just dropping by to say hi. Hi, what's up?
Hi.
Thanks for dropping by. Hey.
Let's see what.
So with BB-8 being a medium, which we slowly kind of learned more about, did you kind of see that coming, Kritter? Like, do you remember any points that kind of helped that stand out at all for you, or was that kind of just like almost like a blindside?
I mean, I did appreciate like how much she bought in, to as an adult. She just fully bought into the OA stuff, which you wouldn't always expect from an adult, right? So I guess
we found out she had trauma too as a child, so that can actually, I think, be a little helpful.
Yeah.
They all did.
So I think her whole vibe kind of lent itself to being somebody special, somebody unique, right? Because she did seem like a really good person. And so, and like she was a teacher, she didn't seem like she was dumb, right? And so there's got to be a reason other than just pure like, oh, I want to believe this, why she believed it so strongly. And I think part of that was maybe she could like sense something about it.
Yeah.
And it was interesting, I mean, and sad when she said, I had accepted that I wouldn't have certain things in life.
Yeah.
Like kids and that kind of stuff. And I was like, geez, this is freaking killing me right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So every single one of them had trauma. As you can tell, her brother was a troubled soul.
Yeah.
Just from the conversation with her cousin.
Yeah.
So yeah, every single one of them had trauma.
Yeah. I think I started picking it up more with BBA.
Mhm.
And it was in the moment when they were already at the beach house and she's just sitting there and it's quiet. She's just sitting there. And all of a sudden she looks over and she goes, Theo? And then she starts laughing, you guys.
Yeah.
She starts laughing.
Yeah.
Like she was experiencing like the energy of her brother or something that was, like, delightful. And she wasn't talking to anybody. She wasn't doing anything. She was just by herself in a room.
Just
I was like, what?
Sense it.
Yes. Yeah. And so we kind of see that play out more and kind of confirm that she has definitely been doing that.
Yeah.
It's been happening.
How did you feel about, there were a lot of red herrings in this show, like a lot of like side quests, I would call them, more than red herrings, right?
Okay.
So like Kareem's girlfriend or his ex-girlfriend with the baby, Mo, that kind of really didn't go anywhere. You had the rich guy Ruskin that also kind of didn't go anywhere.
Oh, but
did though.
Well,
I don't know. I was very excited to see him though. I don't know if we had seen him before, like the person.
We did when he first went into the hospital, or when she first went into the hospital at the very beginning of the.
But we didn't see him. He was behind like
because I feel like I would have recognized him because I'm a huge Mad Men fan.
We were just talking
about Mad Men, and then frickin' Pete. Oh my gosh,
Pete Campbell
Campbell shows up, and I'm like, this is perfect. Like, you are, like an angel investor type, like finance bro.
We're gonna kind of hate a little bit.
Yeah, we're like immediately gonna hate you. You smarmy MFer. Yeah, and so it was perfect. Like,
but aside from the storyline where he was an angel investor and funding Nina's ideas and dreams, right? We really didn't get a whole lot more from him other than, him telling Kareem, oh, there was that fourth thing. They all drew you.
Yeah, that was our Wizard of Oz moment, you guys. He pulled the curtain back. It was like, surprise, there's another. Here's some images of you. Like, we found you and put you on this path. Like, that is
pretty
important.
The house, they also tried to lure us away from the house by saying, oh, there was you got poison. There's this
methane or something.
Yeah, whatever the hell it was, leaking from whatever. And so they do try to explain things away. Did it work with you?
Not really.
Like, yeah, that's bullshit.
Yeah, I kind of was just like, I don't know that you can really explain away somebody like looking like they've aged thousands of years. Yeah, like by some random gas leak in the basement. But
so whatever. Is that the FBI tinkering and continuing them on their path?
Oh, I don't
Is that Ruskin with all his money making sure they're told one thing or another? Like they got samples of their blood or whatever.
It's possible.
It was
absolutely.
There.
I mean,
so we all saying it wasn't there? Because didn't they say that that's what made it like a sacred ground and helped people have these experiences?
Yeah, she did. Zendaya or whatever her name was. Zendaya said that. Yeah,
Ola, I think.
Yeah, that they knew that it was part of the whole thing. They already knew that. If you played the game long enough, you would know that. But it just, the house itself, I think, goes back to what the FBI guy said. So I'll bring the FBI guy, and he goes, "What is a house?" And they're like, "It's a space." Yes. That's right. It's a space with many rooms. And basically that's what that house was. Was it like a space-time freaking, paradox?
It was giving The Shining. There were several moments where I was like, this feels like The Shining to me. The house has a personality. So yeah, it was cool.
I'd love to freaking delve more into the engineer and the medium aspect of everything, because that sounded really cool,
incredibly cool.
We didn't get enough of that shit.
Yeah, it was neat to get that the backstory type lore behind the house, I guess.
Yeah.
From Homer of all people, right? Because it was like his voice narrating, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
For that episode, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it was he was listening to it on the audio tapes,
which was him, right?
I don't think it was him. I think it was Ruskin, because it was the Ruskin tapes, and it said about the house or something on the tape.
Oh, you're right. It was Ruskin. Yeah,
okay.
which I totally didn't hear Pete Campbell's voice. I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't
sounded
either.
a lot
I
like
thought I was
Homer.
hearing Homer.
Yeah.
And I'm
sounded like
watching
Homer.
Mad Men currently.
Oh, really?
I still didn't catch it.
I've never seen that show. Don't
I
know.
actually recommend it. It's interesting.
It's like one of my
Yeah.
favorite shows of all time.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'm
my
sure I'd
favorite
love
show.
it. I just
Yeah,
haven't
it's
watched it.
interesting.
I love it.
Yeah.
Big love.
Okay, so let's think about these tents real quick, because this is something I noticed, and y'all know how I like colors, and so does Tavern,
These
whichever
tents.
side you want. Oh, you're down. Okay, the tents.
Okay.
So I took some time to like try to figure out who was in which tent, right?
Okay.
Okay, so we had in the yellow tent, we had Steve and Angie.
Yep.
Okay, in the blue tent, we had Buck. In orange, we had Frenchie, and in green, we had Jesse. Okay.
Okay.
And so I just love this little detail they did. So yellow, kind of represents personality, like your character, your charisma, that kind of thing. And that is very much, I feel like, Steve and Angie. Like
Yeah.
Angie is a tough.
Her personality is amazing.
Like you get some awesome personality from Angie and from Steve. Like some of the most transformation that you see is Steve.
Yeah.
Like from the episode 1 to him in the ambulance looking at Hap, like sup Hap.
Yeah.
He's never seen Hap. He has never seen Hap.
But he
And he knew
knows.
it was Hap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
like
And
powerful,
his hair is like so blonde.
and so long. And
Yes,
he's in like a leather
not only
jacket
that, he's
in
got
that
like a
dimension too.
yellow hair. Like
That's what you mean. Okay.
Like I think he's what did they called it? Integrated. He knows how to integrate. He jumped in that stream. There's some great photos of that I put in there. Okay, so we have yellow is Steve and Angie, and then we have blue is Buck. And what does Buck do? Buck sings. Buck hears the songs, those kind of things. And blue represents like vocals and your ability to communicate.
And he's a trans boy or man.
Mm-hmm.
Blue
In one
for boy.
dimension.
Right. But in this dimension that they're in, blue for boy also.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
Okay. All right. And then we have orange, which is Frenchie. And that is, orange is typically associated with like sexuality and that kind of thing. And who do we see really kind of coming out for himself, experiencing things for the first time in that way. And they're always kind of sexualizing this character without his shirt on. We're doing something, so he's an orange. And then green is for the heart, is for love. And then you have Jesse, and Jesse's heart is broken the entire time we know him. To the point where he is putting drug patches on there trying to fix it, and even dies. Like his heart is breaking. And so I just thought that was, they could put all gray tents. They could put all green tents.
Yep, they could.
But they didn't. They gave us colors to even think about the personalities and storylines of these characters.
Max Silva in the chat says, have you all seen Dark? Could be a fun next show to stream in your reactions to. Dark I have seen. It's incredible.
I have
binged it. I would do it again.
I started watching the sequel to that or something that was by the same people, like 18 something it was called. 18,
Oh, yeah.
But
I didn't actually watch that.
I didn't finish watching it. So,
Dark
but I haven't
is
seen Dark.
Really trippy and
beautiful.
good.
Really beautiful.
A lot of people have it listed like in top 100 shows of all time. Like
really?
Yeah, it's German language subtitles, but it is really compelling. Like
I remember thinking they did the subtitles very well, actually.
I have no issues with subtitles whatsoever.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Like I love it. Like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, or whatever that was.
I've never seen that.
Oh my God! You will forget that you're listening to Chinese while you're watching it. It's so good. Anyways, continue.
I'll check it out.
I'm trying to think of what there were so many little things. With the OA in particular, actually, let's talk about Kareem.
Okay.
Most of the end of the second season, Kareem was doused in red.
Mm-hmm.
He was red light. He was heading for the red tunnel. He was going up the red ladder. He goes to the red stained glass window, opens it up, and it goes white.
So we can go right back to colors and imagery there. Red is grounding, foundational, weighty, heavy, important. Then you have white, which is as high as you can get, that crown chakra, that not just vision, but understanding, that kind of thing. So yeah, he goes from red, this grounded character who deems himself worthy, which they say you have to be for the house to play with you, and get you where you want to go. And then for the white light, for him to see and to understand. Like, I mean, it's really beautifully done.
Oh, there's the lady. There's the lady in the wheelchair with the crows.
He was wearing a red jacket here, so I thought
was.
since you guys are talking about him.
He's got the orange car, but especially when he's in the house, he's like bathed in red light almost all the time.
And swimming in the water, and it's the grate under the water, and it's red, and
yeah.
What did you think about the lit tunnel? Like the first one that they went into after they went into the basement when they left the old night.
I have a thought, and I almost shared an image of it, and I didn't.
I
was like, "You don't want to hear this," but I'll share it since you asked.
Go ahead, because I have thoughts too, but please do, because I want to see what you think.
Okay, so I'm gonna do a little callback to Angie again, Miss Yellow, because she had so much to say as just like this side character that we don't actually know a lot about.
Yeah.
So she brought up the vagina being an image of power. And when I saw this tunnel, the beginning of a journey to, find that you are worthy, and to become like, to find your power in a sense, like the OA is like, I am power. I have power. You don't. The fact that the beginning starts and it looks like the opening to a vagina, I thought was quite fascinating.
And it looks like a birth canal.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. They're crawling through it. Yeah. They're starting this journey.
Okay.
I didn't even include it because I wasn't going to bring it up.
It's in there. I think it's like, no, that's the ladder that goes up to the...
Oh, that's not the tunnel. Okay.
No. It should be season 2, episode EP5, and it should say like tunnel white, or because there was a tunnel white and a tunnel red.
Got it. Okay, let's see. Let's see if I can find it.
Or a tunnel light or something like that. But I think it was, there was a white and a red. And again, 2 sides. One tunnel was white. There was a grate, and then the other tunnel was red.
Love it.
White and red. White and red.
White and red.
Okay, we're looking for tunnel.
The full spectrum.
Tunnel light. Here we go.
Yeah, there it is.
Found it. See. Okay. Yeah, okay. I can see it now. The birth canal analogy. Like, I don't know if the thing I was showing earlier really was giving birth canal.
No, but it's giving the red room, which is a totally different.
Kind of, yeah. But yeah, no, it's there's some symbolism.
Oh yeah, especially that shot. Yeah, when they panned out and it was just like one little shape there. Yep.
Yep. That's funny.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, big fan.
Oh my god.
The symbolism, it's everywhere. It's overwhelming.
It is.
I mean, really, they make the show like this on purpose. That's what makes it so like fun to watch and to rewatch, really.
Yeah.
And to talk about.
So so here's another question.
Okay.
At the end, when the OA is being lifted into the sky because Hap is trying to pull her somewhere with the robot, people, the robot dancers.
Right.
And then the kids are in the other dimension trying to pull her or help her in a different way. It almost seemed to me like she was actually ascending, right? Because granted, she was going into the air and she was glowing. What did you and that's when Kareem opens the window and that dove flies out.
Yeah.
Brutal, by the way.
I was like, what? So much for the dove of peace. That was the dove of fucking nuke that shit. Yeah. So what were your thoughts when that happened?
I mean, that one was definitely a really, like, we have this transcendent moment and it's going to get interrupted and ruined by a dove. Like, where did this come from, right? Who's sending the dove to mess everything up? Because
the dove was there when he walks in.
Yeah,
the dove is on the windowsill. I put a photo of the window.
It was in the room.
Sitting on the window waiting to get out.
But, like, Why? I guess that's the question. You know, what was the dove?
Think about the window was a portal, right? Because Buck or Michelle could not see Kareem on the other side of it, but he could see her. And it was almost, to me, it was almost like a trade-off. The dove escaped and Michelle escaped back the other way.
Okay.
So they were like trading. There was
like
a
one
price.
for one.
Yeah, like
OA for Michelle.
Well, no, because I mean, yeah, possibly, because at that exact moment, that's when she fell and she landed in the new realm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Which was crazy. I was so upset. There's my future ex-wife.
I have a theory.
Okay.
So, and I just came up with it literally listening to y'all talk. So we might have to just blow it off or not.
No.
So the dove is already there in the room. OA is floating. We're wanting Michelle to get back to her physical body. She's been disconnected from it. And we know that the house was created by a medium and an engineer. And the engineer had an experience that caused him to be in a coma, right? And then later die without ever waking up, which is kind of what was happening to Michelle. Michelle was in a coma, not waking up. So there has to be something connected there with there being a dove, which is a spiritual symbol, already at the portal wanting to get out, and then allowing another, like, so it's like a trapped spirit. So was that the engineer spirit getting out into a different dimension finally, or was that the medium spirit getting out into the dimension finally and allowing another to come back in? Like, that was the trade-off that needed to happen, because someone needed to solve the puzzle for the medium's husband, the engineer, to wake up again, but he died.
Right.
So
I mean,
there needed to be a trade.
Yeah. It to me, it felt like a trade, and that's a totally plausible to me. I mean, that sounds feasible. I don't see why it wouldn't. There's the dove right there, little bastard.
Yeah, and it's just chilling there, real no big deal.
Little bastard.
Little bastard.
Okay, so then you have Britt. Is that what her name was in this? Britt, hanging there, and she falls, that kind of stuff, and we see this set, right? And that reminded me of the conversation that the traveler was having with Hap when they first started talking. She was like, I traveled to a dimension where I was an actress. And I just integrated. And I watched all the videos that she had made. And I saw myself live all these different lives. Like, I watched myself do this. And so it's almost like this dimension that the OA has gone into is the dimension that we've already heard about from the traveler.
And we've already heard about it from somebody else.
So now we're going to see her come to, hopefully, if they ever make it. She's always going to come to. She's going to see all her movies that she's made. She's going to have whatever experience in this dimension she's going to need to have to start believing in herself as the OA again, before she can move on to the dimension after that, maybe.
So you don't think she's like now just capable of integrating now that she knows the trick?
Well, Hap mentions that he is taking her intentionally. If it worked, it could have failed. We don't know because they've never showed it. So it could have failed. But his intention was to take her to a dimension where everyone would call her the OA, but she would not believe that she's the OA.
Right.
So she's the actress playing the OA.
So she's just the actress playing the OA. Yeah.
And
that's deep.
Yeah.
This is Scott's
version.
Well, his what do they call it? NDI, near death, or NDE.
NDA.
The near death experience. NDE.
NDE. Yeah.
This was what Scott talked about. This was Scott's NDE, which is where Hap wanted to take her
because he heard that recording in his head.
Yeah. And he heard Homer's conversation with Scott before he killed Scott. Or he sent Scott to die, I guess.
Pretty much.
So that's where he wanted to. So it worked. Scott won that. Like, the bird fucked it up.
Yeah.
Son of a
stupid bird.
Or maybe it didn't.
It's possible. It's possible. It
We
could be a
don't
little bit of both.
know. Yeah, we don't know if it did or not. Like
I was
we
trying
don't
to
know if that bird was maybe even Steve, who was standing there staring at the river flowing. He said, "I'm going to watch." He was a watcher.
Yeah.
I'm watching for this river. And so was Steve the bird? And so he saw the river flowing.
Yeah,
He saw his opportunity and he jumped in. And then he was also there. He wouldn't have been there if the bird wasn't there, and maybe the bird was Steve.
It's
I have
possible.
chills.
I was looking at
Maybe it
I
was
was looking
Steve.
at people. I was looking at people in the group there and trying to see if I recognized anybody. And so far I haven't, but I mean that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
I think the bird's Steve. Where's Caleb?
Where is Caleb?
Where's Caleb tonight?
Maybe the bird is Steve. That would make the most sense. Although
how
I
else
don't.
did Steve get to the right dimension? They say that you pull on it. Like she would say, like, "Oh, I'm going to go to where Homer is because I love Homer." Like she's going to pull on that.
I think
and go
he
to that
felt
dimension.
the same way about her.
He did, and he
You will
said,
yourself
He told
there, yeah.
Angie. He told Angie, "I'm going to jump at the last minute," and we see him. He's staring, and he collapses. He jumped. He was the bird.
I wouldn't doubt it. Listen, and here's another thing about Angie. Now that you mentioned that, how freaking awesome was Angie loving Steve and knowing that Steve was in love with the OA.
And, you think it's a romantic love? I didn't think it was romantic.
I think that
Not for a
she was more connected to him and had more feelings for him than she gave on. And yeah.
I think they loved each other. I don't think it was romantic at all. She loved Homer romantically.
No. I'm talking about Angie loving Steve, not.
Oh yeah, Angie loves Steve.
Yeah, not the OA loving Steve.
Well, yeah, but I don't think Steve's love for the OA was romantic
at all. No, it was. I don't want to say it was motherly, but I think it was very much like guru / best friend-y.
You think like protector /
like kindred spirit / protector.
Kindred spirit. Like she showed up and he has been kicked his whole fucking life, you guys.
Yeah, okay.
She showed up and he tasted compassion.
Well, and she even refers to him like what at some point like they're kids or something. Like she talks about them like not in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she definitely doesn't have feelings for Steve that way. Homer for sure. Oh my God, what about the scene in the elevator right before she goes to talk to Hap as Nina with the kiss,
the hand touching,
the kiss and the hand.
That's what I mean. Like she was so smooth once she integrated. I was obsessed with Nina
the confidence
/ the OA.
Man.
Yeah.
What was great? Did you notice her accent went back or left again? Like she was very integrated. It was just.
It was the Traveler. She almost became a version of the Traveler because the Traveler was very much like that. So
she's not suppressing anymore. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the fact that we see her travel with Hap away, and then we see her a little bit later in the bar is interesting. She has control of where she wants to go when she travels.
Yeah, and she
she
didn't call 911 and say, "Hey, there's a dead woman."
Mm-mm.
She said, "There's an unconscious woman."
Mm-hmm. She wanted to be resuscitated. She wasn't going to abandon this woman there.
And then she jumped back.
This version of her. Yeah.
And then she jumped back. So she saved that woman from Hap's freaking little prison.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look at that power. Look at that.
She just knew.
Right
she had it.
Yeah.
She was on top of it. I love
Can
that.
we just say how stunning she is?
She is beautiful. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Symmetrical.
My wife won't let me date her, but whatever.
Hey, can't win them all.
I know. I tried.
So I don't know how much longer we want to go. I wanted to ask about the tribe thing again.
Okay.
We're kind of towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the Traveler, mentions the tribe, that the OA has a tribe. Like I think, like kind of if I remember correctly, she's alluding to her having a tribe.
Yeah.
And she talks about. I think she talks about Homer and Hap.
Yep, they're part of her tribe.
A part of her tribe. And then we know that the kids are, within one dimension, a part of her tribe, connecting interdimensionally. And then we have, the people there, that she's getting to know a little bit, like Kareem.
Yeah.
And then we have Steve arriving in the next one. And so I would say as far as her tribe goes, it would be like Hap, Homer, and Steve.
Hap, really?
No,
Yep.
she said it. The traveler said it. He's
I know
part
the
of your
travelers said it, but like,
tribe. And she was like, I hate him. Or whatever. He's like, you guys are connected.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Because
guess, yeah, the word tribe is such a loaded word that, like, you would
It
think
is,
it would be
yeah.
somebody who is on your team
Approved.
that you accept,
Yeah.
that is supportive of you, not somebody who's just always
So,
around.
Yeah.
It like just think if Hap suddenly is able to integrate and not suppress, because he was suppressing in this season's dimension of himself.
Yeah.
You know, we saw that because she would question him and he did not know the answers that he should have had.
Yeah,
so we
yeah.
know he was suppressing the Dr. Percy version of himself.
He didn't know how to integrate.
He couldn't integrate yet. So what if he arrives in this third dimension and he knows how to integrate now? And so he is, and there is hope that a better version of himself could win out.
We know he integrated because he said I'm Jason Isaacs. Hap
You
wouldn't
can
know.
Either integrated
You can
or he's
know.
suppressed.
Yeah, you know.
Well,
but
he
that
could
doesn't
have.
mean you integrated or yeah.
Well, no,
like-
because she didn't know she was Nina until basically that she was told she was Nina.
well, that was her first time
Well,
jumping
but think
that
about
we're aware of.
Think about
Like,
Homer. Like when he came over,
Yeah.
he didn't know that he was old Nina's, the OA's Homer, right? He
Right,
thought he
it's
was
a whole
just
different life.
psychologist, right? And so technically, Hap could not, unless I'm forgetting something that he said, he could not know that he's Hap and only think that he's Jason Isaacs at that time.
No, because you saw him do the herky jerk when she fell. It all happened at once. She hit the ground.
Yeah.
Or you see her on the ground.
Yeah.
And then you see him go, and he becomes, he travels into this body.
No, I get it. He could be
Yeah.
in there, but he could be suppressed, just like Homer was
Mhm.
suppressed in the second universe that we got introduced to.
I don't think
he could be a great suppressor.
He could be
you
a
know,
good,
and
yeah.
so he'll
Jason
know.
Isaacs could suppress.
I don't think that was it. I think he wanted to go with her because he recognized her as the OA. Because I don't think, because he goes, "Oh, I'm her husband," right? And we know in real life, like if this becomes like our world that they jumped into, Jason Isaacs is married to somebody completely different. They're not married in real life. Now, granted, in this world they could be, but Steve jumps in there and goes, "Hey, Hap," and Hap just looks at him like, "Oh shit."
His left eye twitched hardcore.
Yeah, like oh shit, he knows who I am.
Yeah. So what? Like there's a lot that can come from a Twitch
Yeah.
moment. It's like the little bobbin spinning at the end of Inception. What
Yeah.
happened here? You know, like
Yeah.
is Hap there also? You know,
Right.
are they integrated? You know,
Or is that the suppressed Hap, like,
Yeah,
like,
it could be.
Yeah.
like rising to the surface for a second, right? In
Yeah.
the same way that the OA remembered those codes, you know, even though she wasn't integrated. I don't know. It could go any way. I want to reject the notion that Hap is part of her tribe, but I get that could have different definitions. And in the same way, that makes me sad then, because I feel like BB-8 and those kids have every right to be considered in her tribe, even if they aren't always like running parallel in the different dimensions.
Well,
because she wants to jump out of an echo, which also could be what we saw there. That could have been the river. It could have been an echo. You know, like.
Yeah.
And
So-
within this grouping, this particular column of trees or grouping of trees, like those are part of her tribe, but maybe over here they're not unless you jump in like
right.
Steve did.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you have to be willing and ready and able to jump in like Steve did. Like he was ready.
So
Yeah.
BB-8, Angie, French, Buck, that's a tribe.
Yeah.
They've established a tribe. So that was the birth of a tribe, basically, because we know that they're in multiple worlds because we see Michelle, who is Buck. Just like Scott, Rachel, Renata, they were a different tribe.
Yeah.
And
that's
so
the other one I meant to mention earlier.
Right.
Thank
so
you. Yeah.
the OA is the original angel. She's touching all of it. It's almost
All
like
these
looking,
dimensions. She's waking people up.
It's
basically.
like looking at a branch, and the branch has little branches that go off of it to little smaller branches, and that's a little tribe, and that's a little tribe. But she's like
She's the
tree.
origin.
Yeah, she's the tree that all these branches are coming off of. And Hap and Homer and Steve are part of the bigger tree as opposed to one of the smaller branches. So yeah, the tribe thing was when that came out, my brain exploded with stuff.
Yeah, it was so wonderful. It was so
Yeah.
sweet.
It was so cool.
Yeah, I agree. I really enjoyed that.
Okay,
Let's
so
see.
before we like round
No,
it
I want to
out,
know. I want to know. Yeah, I just want to know. Do you want to save the OA, Kritter?
Yeah, I would say hashtag save the OA.
Yes.
I would watch the 3rd season. I would watch a movie or
Hell
a 3rd
yeah.
season, you know? I would
Like
totally
a Serenity type movie.
Sure. Bring it on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
I like it a lot. Okay, so are we ready for final thoughts?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, hashtag save the
Video.
OA in the chat. Love it. All right, Widescreen, why don't we start with you?
You know, I'm just so thankful that Netflix is just helping all of us just wake up and integrate into ourselves. And just kidding. But I do hope that, you know, eventually someone is able to pick up the scripts for the next 3 seasons so that we can see what happens, because this is incredibly intriguing. I've never seen anything like it. And they put a lot of thought into all the little details, you know, for little nerds like us to pick apart and talk about.
That's true.
And knowing that we're missing so much, that in, you know, a few years from now, when I rewatch it, because I know I'm like planning to now, like that I'm gonna see more. That is quality TV.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of that you can do that with. So yeah, definitely hashtag save the OA. I'm on team Steve is the dove for sure.
Hashtag Steve is the dove.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Tavern, final thoughts?
Save the OA, hashtag. Yeah, I agree. It always hurts my soul when I see a show that is so good and has so much detail, and the writing is great, and the ensemble is outstanding, like Firefly or the OA and things like that get canceled, and you just, or actually Warrior Nun is another one that's outstanding, that was also canceled, although I believe that one got saved. Steve is the dove, hashtag.
It's a thing now.
it hurts my soul because it's like they're nipping a flower before it blooms. And
oh, too close to home.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're welcome. I was being poetic.
Wow.
Yeah.
My ears alone.
It just sucks. It sucks. And I think that Old Knight died too soon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hashtag too soon.
Yeah.
One more thing I forgot to bring up, because I know I kind of alluded to, when you see what's through that door, it's dark, it's disturbing. You're never going to want to see it again. Don't look it up, Kritter.
Okay.
What did you think when you first saw it? I'm trying to remember what you said. Was it disturbing? Were you disturbed?
The pool?
The pool of water with them floating. Things growing out of their ears, their body.
I mean, so we had seen him like trim things growing out of their ears, which was like a very WTF like moment, right? Because he just ate it. Something growing out of something.
Eating it was a bit weird.
Yeah. How do you decide that's what you're gonna do? You know, like how are you like, this is growing out of a dead or unconscious body, I'm gonna eat it? Like that would
That's
never
the
be
scientist in Hap. I'm telling you.
Yeah. So
100%. Neat.
Well, and
I
part
don't
of
agree,
me,
and it's creepy, but it's neat.
Tavern said that like they were all dead, but like I guess I didn't pick up on that. I thought they were maybe in like a stasis type.
Like, no, they're dead.
That's worse. That makes it worse. That makes it really creepy.
Yeah, it was weird because
I don't know. Are they dead?
I think they were, because I mean, she pulled him out of the water. Steve was dead.
Well,
and it says, the house unlocks this seed in their head after it's done with, or whatever, I think. And he killed Rachel, and Rachel's ear
not there.
She's not there because I think they cut off her head or something. Didn't he chop her up to get rid of her? But he did something to her, but he did get the flower thing, if I'm not mistaken. And he said he was building a map, right, of the pathways or the different routes, and that's how he was doing it. He was that's when he ate that petal from Scott's flower.
No, I get all that happened. I just assumed
that's how he knew how
they
to
were
take
in some kind of
face.
comatose.
Because wouldn't they be brain dead? Like
I think they were dead.
Their flowers would die if their body was
I
dead.
guess like I've seen The Fountain enough. If you guys have seen that with Hugh Jackman and Rachel
Yeah.
Weisz. You know, like when like the plants and human integration doesn't always mean the human is dead. Is kind of, I guess, where my foundation is.
Yeah,
But-
I mean,
I'm thinking not dead.
I thought the bodies were in the water as fertilizer for the plants. That's how I looked at it.
But they were
Because there was
preserved. It's not like they were breaking down. That's
Right. But and I think the flower had something to do with that. But I want to say they were dead. Personally,
Okay.
I think they were dead.
Well, either way, dead or
Yeah.
just in a coma.
Yeah.
Both
It's
very,
gross.
very. I mean, dead, creepier, but in a coma, more disturbing, probably. If that the line there, because it's like they're basically he's either keeping people prisoner or he's using dead bodies to fertilize this science project. Either way, yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still hate Hap. I think to answer
No,
your
Hap's-
question,
Hap's
White's very
shit.
gross.
on Hap,
We
yeah.
don't like Hap, not at all.
Not a fan.
We love Jason Isaacs though for portraying
do.
Hap
We do
because
love
he's
Jason Isaacs.
fucking amazing.
But
Yep.
anyways,
He did a great job helping us hate him.
it's
All right,
true.
Critter. Final
Me?
thoughts, Critter.
Okay, final thoughts. I'm glad that I watched it. Hashtag save the OA. Hashtag Steve is the dove. And yeah, it's been interesting watching the show for the first time after having seen all the Save the OA clamoring that had happened on Twitter in the past. I do hope it gets saved. And I'll just close by saying that if you're not following Tavern on YouTube just yet, that's where the Wheel and Chill show will be migrating here for the next episode, whenever the next episode might be. It sounds like they might be doing Rings of Power content like we did on this channel.
Yes.
It'll just be over there. And so don't miss out on that, because I'm gonna be taking a little bit of a hiatus. So.
I miss you already.
Yeah, no kidding. This is kind of like sad. It's exciting because we'll still be able to continue with the show, but it's sad that you're not gonna be there for a bit. Although hopefully, depending on how she feels, maybe surprise visits are always welcome.
But no pressure, because
No pressure. Yeah, like don't be like, oh, I'm in labor. Let me go on the show. Don't do that.
I won't.
Okay.
Don't.
Yeah.
But we would put you on if you wanted to.
Yeah, no, yeah, hell yeah. We would be like, breathe.
Have you announced the name yet?
I wasn't gonna bring it up.
Okay.
I have not.
All right.
I have not.
Okay.
No. It
Nope.
is a boy that has been announced officially,
Mhm.
but no name.
And
not
his name is
announced.
Tavern.
Yeah. His name is Randall Thor. No, it's not.
Damn
It is not, indeed. Yeah, so just make sure you're following Tavern so you can get all the updates and whatnot and see the live streams being scheduled and all of that fun stuff. We should be playing a Nights Who Say Chill session on
Yes.
that channel as long as all technical things go well
Yes.
next Monday.
Yeah, the 5th, right?
The fifth. Yeah,
Yes.
whenever that is.
The 5th, August 5th. So
That is correct.
I will be taking part in that. It'll just be over on Tavern's channel, so make sure you don't miss that whenever the time comes. Oh, and don't forget to back the Soundscape of Time
Yes.
Kickstarter if you want some awesome
100%.
music / ambiance to listen to while you're listening to the Wheel of Time audiobooks, or if you just want some Wheel of Time vibes if you're playing D&D or hanging out at your house or doing
Love that,
whatever.
love that.
Because you can listen to it by itself without listening to the audiobook too.
Yeah.
Seems pretty great. Seems like a good deal.
And don't forget to check out Tavern and I on Mac Here Talks Tuesday nights doing the NASA stream
Astronauts.
with Roof Mistress, Mr. Moonbound, and Aliens.
Yeah, the Nastronauts. Okay, well that is going to be it for us tonight. Thank you all for tuning in, and if you tune in after the fact, thanks for that, and thanks for Jordan coming on and
Yes, thank
letting
you,
us
Jordan.
in on his little project.
You and your
all of this, what is happening here? This is wild. Okay, we're gonna leave now. Thank you, everyone.
Stream.
Bye.